Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Coueignoux. We are continuing to follow all angles after Hurricane Melissa has now struck Cuba after lashing out at Jamaica. And I wanted to share these live looks with you right here of Jamaica. These are 4 different live looks as the island continues to recover. 77% of Jamaica right now without power in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa as it slammed the island yesterday as a Category 5 hurricane, one of the most catastrophic hurricanes. And prior to that, hurricane hunters were actually traveling inside Melissa to get a better sense of the level of power. And this is some video courtesy of Dr. Josh Wadler. He is a hurricane hunter. He's also with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And this is some cell phone video that he actually shared with us from inside Hurricane Melissa. He joins us now live here on Live Now from Fox to talk about that experience. And we appreciate you taking the time, Josh.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you have been on a lot of these flights before. This isn't the first time that you've flown directly into a hurricane, but this one was unique. And in fact, it was so powerful. You were sharing that you actually had to turn around. Share with our viewers exactly what that experience was like.
Yeah, so we hit 3.8 Gs of vertical force, which is 3.8 times the force of gravity in a big updraft in an outbound leg going through the center of the storm. And so that force is so strong that if the G-force exceeds 3.0, we have to return home just for mandatory inspection for safety.
And, you've done this many, many times before. Was there ever a point, though, with this particular flight that made you nervous?
Yeah, the turbulent part is certainly nervous. You're going into an intensifying Category 5 storm. The storms that are getting really strong tend to be quite turbulent. And so, there's a few nervous minutes in there where you just don't know exactly what you're going to hit and what the experience is going to be like in those powerful eye walls. So there's definitely some nerves there.
Yeah, and you've actually been inside some of the most powerful hurricanes. How does this one, Hurricane Melissa, rate compared to the other hurricanes that you've flown into?
It's certainly up there. We had a really big bump. We had stuff go flying and just there was a water bottle in front of me for what felt like 3 seconds just suspended in the air. So it was definitely up there. This flight into Melissa where we hit that turbulence was all like vertical motion. I've been in some really turbulent flights like Hurricane Ian back in 2022, where actually there was a lot of side-to-side motion on the aircraft, and that was really scary too.
So, talk about hurricane hunters, because we hear about them a lot, flying directly into a hurricane to assess the hurricane, but also to share critical information so that folks can better prepare themselves. Can you explain to our viewers the role that hurricane hunters play when it comes to safety plans and preparedness, and specifically what you're looking for?
Yeah, so we collect a lot of data that really helps the forecast. And so our team, I'm part of a team that flies UAS into hurricanes. That's the reason I'm there. So we've been flying from really early on, from when the storm was quite disorganized, and we were actually trying to find the low-level center for where the storm was, all the way up to when it was Category 5, and we were flying our drones in the eye wall, trying to assess how strong the storm actually became. And so the unique part about the drones, these are just 3-pound aircraft that we deploy, is that they can fly really low and really close to the ocean without any risk to human life. And so it's a really unique measurement tool that we can provide to the Hurricane Center. So while we're flying into the storm, I'm talking to the Hurricane Center, and they're telling me what measurements they want from these drones, and we're trying to command it to get to those locations. Besides for the drone, we collect very critical radar data so that you get the storm structure, and also from dropsondes, which are publicized a lot. And so they get like profiles of wind speed and also like the central pressure of the storm.
Most people are told to stay as far away as possible from hurricanes. You take the opposite approach as a hurricane hunter. You fly directly into the eye of the hurricane. How did you get into this?
Yes, I've always been interested in hurricanes and hurricane observations. And if you want to learn how hurricanes evolve, you have to measure them. And so I chose a career path, and when I started my PhD, found an advisor that was active in taking measurements in storms, and that's kind of how I got my way in, and now I transitioned to doing a lot of UAS stuff. And so a lot of experience. Experience really helps in the field, and so you got to start somewhere. I'm really passionate about getting my students involved and getting them chances to get on the plane, because somebody deserves, their first shot at some point.
Yeah, and speaking of, getting involved, having a first shot, can you share with us the butterflies that were in your stomach, or maybe not, the very first flight that you took as a hurricane hunter?
Yeah, you're just thankful for the opportunity. You wait a long time to get your chance, as I said, to get on the plane. My first flight was actually back in Hurricane Nate in 2017. At the time, it was the record for the fastest moving storm in the Gulf. And so on one side of the storm, we actually measured a wind speed of 0 in a hurricane because it was going so fast to the north. And so every flight is unique. Certainly you get butterflies the first time you do it. And what you learn over time is what's normal and what's abnormal, right? And that's the science that we're doing, trying to understand what's unique about each system.
Absolutely. Dr. Josh Wadler, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And before we head to break, I did want to share once again these 4 live looks of Jamaica as we continue to share with you the different vantage points of the aftermath, and certainly a different perspective from what we were showing you 24 hours ago, when conditions were so bad that you couldn't even see what was in these live streams right there. Now the sun is up, the sky is clear, but now the hard work begins as 77% of Jamaica remains without power at this hour. So we were hearing from the Jamaican government. We're going to continue to bring you all of those updates as they happen, but we are going to be stepping away just briefly, continuing our live coverage in just